verse 1. And the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven to the earth. To him was given the key of the bottomless pit. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there rose a smoke out of the pit, at the smoke of a great furnace, like a volcano coming up. And the sun and air was darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. And they came out the smoke locusts upon the earth. Those can't be real locusts. You kill locusts with smoke. That's how you kill them. You want to protect a bunch of grain field from locusts, you put up bonfires. But not this bunch. They're in the smoke. But these are the wildest looking locusts you ever saw. Verse 7. They were shaped like horses. They had crowns like gold. And their faces were the face of men. And they had hair like women. You ever seen them things in Detroit? Those are forerunners of something that's coming down from underground. They don't come down from outer space. They're under your feet. Verse 9. Wings. Verse 10. Scorpions. Look at that stuff. 8. Teeth like lions. They're monsters. Those are monstrosities. They're animal mutants. They're coming from downstairs. They don't come upstairs. They come from downstairs. The Bible said in the tribulation when that horseman showed up, the one that sat upon him was death, and hell followed him. Hell followed him. The earth opens. Something comes out of the pit and starts tearing across this earth. Now, isn't that something? You know why you're so fascinated by Star Wars and Star Trek, and the Exterminator and the Terminator and the Rosemary's Baby, and the horror on Blankety Blank Avenue and all that junk? Well, that stuff fascinates you because that stuff is real. It just hadn't happened yet. But boy, she's coming. Now, you know what they're adjusting you kids to? They're adjusting you to horror. And what they want to teach you is that anything that's abnormal or perverse is beautiful. That's what they want to teach you. So you get, E.T., Wormhead, or whatever his name is, the cute little maggot. And then you get Charles Adams, the Munster family, where the vampire is funny, and the witch is funny, and Frankenstein is funny to help the little kiddies. And that's why little kiddies like dinosaurs. Kids are fascinated with dinosaurs. So you get Jurassic Park, and this stuff. And then when you really put it on, you give them King Kong, because he has a bride. Now, of course, in the movie, they don't get married, but she's saying, "Oh, Kong, you're getting shot. Oh, how I'm going to miss you." Imagine a woman missing a 6-foot ape, but not a 40-foot ape. Don't you see what they're doing? Beauty and the Beast. The woman loves this monster. Don't you see what they're doing? They're preparing you to accept distortion, perversion as normal. They've been doing it for 100 years. 1900, music. Most of you don't like and listen to Mozart and Beethoven and Schumann and Handel and Vivaldi and Boccherini and the ones who can really play music. The rock music you listen to is perverted, distorted, ugly music. And you're taught it's pretty. You like it. Decibels to fried egg, man. You think that's pretty? Yeah, you do. You like it. You're conditioned. Your mind's been worked on. Now, you know how I know that? I know it from being an artist. I always did appreciate beauty. I like beautiful things. I appreciate them. I know what beauty is. I know when it's not beautiful. I know the proportions are right. And anytime you find somebody thinking that a woman who looks like this is beautiful. Barbara Streisand. You've got rocks for brains. You know what they're doing? They're trying to make you think stuff as ugly as beautiful. You take Joe Namath, the glamour boy, and Ringo, the glamour boy. Those are two of the most beast ugliest pussies you ever looked at in your life, man. Those faces would stop a clock and put a freight train off a railroad track. But they condition you. So you kids Saturday morning turn on the TV and what are you getting? You're getting monsters. But they're not all bad monsters. Some of them are good monsters. So it isn't just not all the iron, metal, mechanical robots are bad ones. Some of them are good and help you out. The Iron Men. I read in Daniel chapter 2 that the image has legs of iron. But when I got down to the feet were part iron, part clay, and had 10 toes. And he said, when he talked about that thing, he said, these toes of iron and clay, he said they'll mingle themselves, the iron, with the seed of men, the clay. But they won't mingle with one another, even as iron is not mingled with clay. Got a robot in there. And it's producing. Iron mingled with clay, the clay is the seed of men. And the iron is something else. It's inorganic metal, and it's producing organic material. All right, so they're getting you ready for ugliness now. The big thing is dinosaurs and monsters. And the monster is the kid's buddy. The kid gets up at night, goes to the window, and has communication with this friendly little monster to come to help him out. Now, all that stuff is getting you ready for something. And according to the material I have, most of this stuff is going around a place called Groom Lake. It's right there, and Las Vegas is right there. So Las Vegas recently built two things. A great big pyramid and a sphinx sitting right beside it. How many of you knew that? Let me see your hands. Don't get much news, do you? A great big sphinx, as in fox, fax, sex, hex, hoax, jinx. You remember Ruckman told you about that 40 years ago? She comes right down to the X. X marks the spot, right in here. And that place is called Groom Lake, and part of it's called Area 51. Now, if you remember those two things, you'll have the key. This area here is called Groom Lake. Ultra secret security, no longer called yellow security, but called black security. CIA. Black is beautiful. Groom Lake. And the area is called Area 51. And right by there is a fine old Japanese boy named Hayawaka, or Hawayaka, or Hayakawa. I can't remember how he spelled his name. Hawayka, something like that. You know what he does? He makes videos in UFOs. And he'll show them to you. He'll show them to come out at night and flying, going around, going back down again. He's right over here with his camera and picking them up at night. And the military made him move them clear off the reservation. And before he got permission to photograph those things off the reservation, they caught him on the reservation. And he was making pictures of those things, and a couple of big black Cadillacs sailing there without any license plates on them. Outstepped the old SWAT jackbooted thugs, and that's what they are, with automatic weapons. Held him up, took his film, everything out of his car, told him to get out, and warned him not to come back or they'd kill him. No identification, no driver's license. The fellows who stepped out and got him had no driver's license, no driver's plates, and no names. Anonymous. And after that, he had to stay off the reservation and photograph long distance with his camera. I got the videos at home. But that ain't the half of it. Underground here, they say, and when I say they, I'm talking about 40 to 100 eyewitnesses who've worked there. They say that at that area, they have stainless steel tunnels running on the grounds for miles and miles and miles, going down first level, second level, third level on down there. And down there, with the courtesy of the CIA, Roman Catholic organization founded by Wild Bill Donovan in World War II with the OSS in Canada, with the courtesy of the CIA and the FBI, they have an arraignment with the aliens. And they haven't recovered just dead bodies to autopsy. They've recovered as many as 27 live ones in the last 30 years, and about 40 dead ones. Whenever those things happen, there's just a news blackout, blap like that. Nobody moves, nobody dares move. The ones who've been down underground this area say that when they come in there, there's a system of computers and checks and lights and electronic stuff you wouldn't believe, and that when you leave the place, you pass through a thing that has electronic things that have to do with memory retention, to get rid of certain parts of the memory. They say that when a fellow works there, he's told not to speak about this under pain of something or other, and if he opens his mouth, the first thing you do is declare him to be medically sick, and then get him to a doctor and get him to the hospital and get him out of the way. Otherwise, he suddenly has a heart attack, or he commits suicide like Clinton's buddy, who wasn't even sick and wasn't talking about committing suicide. And they vanish. The senator from Nevada, his name is Lear. The Jet Lear is named after the senator from Nevada. Las Vegas is Nevada. You know what the senator from Nevada says? Who holds the world record for jet flight, and has every award that an aviation man can get in the National Aviation Agency. You know what he says? He ain't no colored woman hanging up laundry while she sees a UFO in her backyard. He's a senator who holds a bunch of world records for jet flight. He said, if you ever see one of those UFOs coming around your house with those bright lights and pretty lights and sparkling sound, you better run like hell. That's what he said. Then we had another fella, and I forget his name right now, but I've got it at home, and you know what he did? He got investigating these things, and he said, resist. Resist now. To let the public know about it. And he said, when you get them, he said, handle them in the air, don't handle them underground, handle them in the air, cut off their water, so they can't operate without water. They hang around water reservoirs. They can't operate without electricity. Cut off electricity, cut off their water out in this area, you can get them. He said, no compromise, they don't make deals, if they're dangerous, they're vicious. He said, kill them. So they declared that fellow was nutty and gave him shock treatments. Another fellow wound up in Lewisburg prison. He was a German named Riker. And Riker invented a machine that could stop a UFO propulsion system. And they put him in Lewisburg, and one of the prisoners killed him after he'd been there about 6 months. Now, brethren, when a man like Rush Limbaugh stands up and says, there's no conspiracy, and when a man like Slick Willie says there's no conspiracy, you can just double over laughing and it splits your gut laughing. There's a conspiracy you wouldn't believe. Now, I'll close with this. And we haven't got really going yet, but we're about halfway around the track. This is what they say. When I say they, I mean 4 volumes, 500 pages of these eyewitnesses. They say this. They say that the CIA contacted this bunch after World War II, and the Germans contacted them first, which you might as well have guessed. And they say that the Germans immediately got a contact with them at the South Pole. The reason why you can't get in the Antarctica, because they got things going down there where they've got something working with something that's in the center of the earth. The fellows who teach in Hollow Earth teach there are 2 openings, the North Pole and the South Pole. I don't know about that, but I know there's something there, and there's something there, and there might be some more. I read south the Dead Sea that Sodom and Gomorrah are reserved in everlasting fire in Jude. They must have dropped right down into it. That'd make it south of the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is 1,300 feet below sea level. 13. And right below there is where Korah, Dathan, and Abiram went down into the pit. So there are openings somewhere. Or this fellow Riker, you know what he invented? he invented a machine that would stop the propulsion system of these UFOs, and they got him sold away and then got him assassinated. Now, I have testimony from a jet propulsion engineer with 18 years' work with jet propulsion systems, who was taken in a black Cadillac with full blinds to that area, put into a shaft. The Cadillac went down the shaft, the doors opened, they stepped out, and these black uniformed guards standing around looking like zombies, just like you see it in James Bond. The whole thing is set up just like you see it in James Bond or one of these wild shows, set up just like that. And he said the security was oppressive. And they take him to this place here where he's to work on the UFO and put him in it. He works in that thing for 8 hours. And that bird comes out. He can tell you about the black box in the middle that runs the thing, and the metal in the black box that they haven't located what the metal is and assigned a certain title to it, and how long the UFO is, how high it is, how wide it is, and how the propulsion system works. Got the stuff that big in paper, single space, both sides. It is not rumor. They're there. But the trouble comes in with why. And they say that the CIA and the American government has made a deal with the aliens. That the aliens will show them how to bend light rays, Philadelphia experiment back during World War II, to make things invisible, and show them how to attain speeds above, 5,000 miles an hour without burning up the metal, and show them these things. They'll let them do what they want to do, operate in the United States as long as it's undercover. And so every now and then you read about a bunch of oxen and cows being stripped of all their entrails and everything, and no blood. And the blood gone. And somebody is performing an operation there you couldn't perform with a laser. And it's nearly always by a power line. Folks, I'm not pulling your leg. I've got guys in my school whose daddies own farms in North Alabama that have seen the things and picked up the cattle. Most of the cattle disappear from Wyoming and Colorado and Montana out in the west. And the ranchers are real upset. Nothing they can do. One of them got out there investigating. You know what he found beside one of those mutilated cattle? A U.S. Army scalpel, a doctor's scalpel, with U.S. Army on it, just like you have U.S. Navy on the utensils. So the Pentagon ain't giving you the whole story. Now, this is an agreement out here, and the guys who've been through it say this. Now, this is the shocker. When you go through here, these vats, and these vats are a piece of human flesh and other kinds of flesh. And here are glass tubes up against the wall with people in them, standing there. Some of them in terror, some of them unconscious, some of them in apathy, in these glass jars, 8, 9 feet high. And then over here, a bunch of heads, like somebody needed to behead people. Revelation 20, verse 1 to 3. You didn't read it, did you? It's Revelation 20, 1 to 3. And about 10 years ago, a boxcar fell open in a very embarrassing place, one of these stations, and they had a bunch of guillotines in there. Hey, no conspiracy, So they say this agreement is, let the aliens get what they need, and this is what they say. One class of aliens are called grays. One class of aliens are called reptilians. They have wings. One class of aliens are called Syrians. One class of aliens, you might have known it, are called Elohim. That's the word for gods. A gray looks like this. And the most common picture you'll see of a UFO will look like this, or an alien look like this. How many ever seen that picture before? Let me see your hands. That's a gray. Those things are about 3 to 4 feet high. The reports on those things and abduction by those things run into the hundreds. And every year in America, about 33,000 children disappear. About 33,000. And they don't find them either. They stay gone. And the material I have says that these things here prefer children's flesh to adult flesh because it hasn't degenerated as far. And some of the grays don't eat through their mouth. They absorb it through their skins. Now, the data I've got the digestive systems and the metabolism and the circulatory system and the reproduction system of all four of those described in detail in medical terms. And that ain't no James Bond story. That's a doctorate work. And the things are in there. And they've been working with them. And they're running little trundles up and down the hallways with the guard just like you see in the movies. You know what the people say who know the interior of this thing? You know what they say? They say that when you see a movie like Star Wars or Star Trek or this stuff comes from Hollywood, that stuff is inspired. And that stuff is produced by electromagnetic projection across an area, so the script writers produce the movie and the scenery they want produced. And they prove it. Up in Connecticut, North New Jersey, they have a station up there, and you know what they did? They put out this electromagnetic stuff beyond shortwave. You can't hear it on your radio or your TV, but it comes through it. And it said, go to Flowerwood Park next weekend. Go to Flowerwood Park next weekend. Go to Flowerwood Park next weekend. And Flowerwood Park, little old park there in some place in Connecticut, 1,000 people, and it'd be a mob for a park that size. And nobody ever been in that park for 10 years. There's people walking through there occasionally. And the next weekend, they show up 2,000 people at Flowerwood Park. And somebody says, well, why'd you kind of? No, we just kind of thought we got to go here this weekend. So they got a system set up where they got projecting towers putting out this stuff. What they're after, bless your soul, is mind control. So when you lie in your bed at night or sit in a church service, you're having the thoughts they want you to have. And boy, when you get in there, you know what you're getting in that Bible? You're getting the power of the air and principalities and powers and the spiritual wickedness in high places, and you have to learn how to bring every thought into captivity and obedience to Christ. That's what you're getting into. While they got this thing going, these colleges are messing with this DNA stuff and fooling around with that stuff. They're trying to create this kind of stuff. They're trying to create mutants. Half man, half monster. That's what they're working on. Now, I got to close it somewhere, so I better close it here, and I'll say this. These things profess to come from outer space, from different constellations, and maybe they can make it in their ships. I don't know. Maybe they can. I don't know. But they can certainly prove they can move those ships at 5,000 and 10,000 miles an hour. They can prove that because they're flying them. Except now the CIA is flying them. The Army is flying them. It's more than just, they've been working the technology for 30 years, so they got the thing going. And so when the rapture takes place, all this stuff surfaces. And when it surfaces, the public wants to know what happened to all these Christians. They can tell you. They can tell you one of two things. They were transported to colonize these other planets, or else we had to eliminate them because they wouldn't go along with the system that we're bringing in. And it'll hold water because they got the technology to prove it. Pleasant dreams. Had a guy phone me up must have been about 5 months ago. He's a Christian. His boy's a Christian. His daughter-in-law was a Christian. And his boys had 5 run-ins with UFO occupants messing around his bedroom at night in the backyard. And the first 2 or 3 times he was terrified and told people about it. By the time the whole town thought he was nuts, he just shut his mouth and been going right on with it without telling anybody about it. Now he's married and his wife is scared to death. And I was talking about what to do about it. And he was a farmer, lived out in an I said, you live in an isolated place, don't you? He said, yeah, they usually show up there, see. And I said, have you got a dog? He said, yeah, I've got a dog. Said, you sleep in the house at night? I said, I let him in once in a while. I said, you ever had trouble with UFOs? He said, no, never have. Said, sometime I thought my boy was crazy, losing his mind. I said, your boy got a dog? He said, no. I said, get him one. So he and his wife, now my daughter-in-law, staying here in the house with me for a while. I said, get him a good German Shepherd and let him come in at night and lie down in the bedroom. And you'll find out real quick whether you've got the real thing or the wrong thing. An old dog, a good one, and a German Shepherd is a good one. He'll intimidate you even when he ain't biteable. But that German Shepherd, he'll lie in that place, something like that going outside. Those hawks will come up, boy, and you'll start that stuff, and you know you got something to deal with. Okay, I better stop here. I'm going to give you one more illustration. Up in North Alabama. Listen, brethren, in the last days, perilous times shall come. And whatever these things are, they're a combination of animal and superhuman. So if you wanted to run them down, you'd have to run them down to the sons of God in Genesis 6 that got shacking up with animals. And that's where your Greek mythology came from. Your centaur and your satyr. Now that stuff, you just pull them a leg. You better try reading Leviticus 19 to 20 before you think I'm pulling your leg. You better see Beauty and the Beast in Leviticus 19 and 20 and learn why God wiped out that whole civilization and the animals with it. Well, anyway, up north Alabama, here's what happened. Now, this is the Matrix. And the Matrix is written by an unsaved fellow. He's not saved. And he's trying to explain what takes place. And of course, he doesn't have the knowledge you have. So sometimes he makes mistakes. And the funniest mistake he ever made was describing what took place in North Alabama about 1960. And in 1960, a farmer heard a commotion out there at the back end of the house, heard his boy screaming, a 12-year-old boy. And he came out there the back of the house, and here were 3 or 4 grays hauling that boy off. And back there in the woods behind him was this big silver object back there, UFO. And that farmer, the writer of the article says, this farmer had kind of a closed mind, kind of a tight mindset, which means he was a Christian. And he said, he didn't know it, but the Grays have one failing. The Grays think when anybody says anything, it's true if they don't know the fact behind it. So they accept the thing as so without checking it. That's what he attributed what happened to that little failure on the part of the Grays. But that ain't what happened. He said, the farmer stepped out there and said, you put that boy down right this minute or I ask my God to blow your rocket ship to smithereens. And they dropped him and ran. And that Matrix writer said he had a peculiar mindset. Yes, he did. And they said the Grays just accepted that as true without checking it. Don't you worry, it was true. And if that's the truth, when that fellow said that, there wasn't 1 month, there's nothing. There is no muture, there's no monstrosity, there's no monster, there's no principality, there's no power, there's no cherubim, there's no half animal, half beast in the universe that doesn't know that Jesus Christ is Jehovah God. They know it. They know it. And they're not going to show up till his people are gone. So you can fasten your seatbelt and get ready to fly. All right, brother, that'll be enough for this morning.